Welcome everybody to this session. Today, I would love to talk about the idea of creating a reset ritual, a reset habit, a reset ceremony. You can choose whatever word fits you best, but the idea behind this concept is to create something that repeats and it helps you feel calm, fulfilled. It helps make your life more organized, more creative. This can help you really get things done in a more organized, in a more efficient way. But also you can add a layer of creativity, spirituality, whatever feels good to you. And that's what I would like to talk about today, because as I was reflecting in my life, there are quite a few rituals and ceremonies that I personally do. They became a habit. But if it wasn't because of those, my life wouldn't be as nice and as manageable. And now that we moved out of our home at the end of August, and we are in between walls. We have a motorhome that is being renovated, so we cannot live in there now. We are staying in someone else's space. So some of those routines are missing. I cannot do them the same way because I don't have the same space, or I don't have the same prompts that I used to have. And I am noticing the impact that they have on my life now. And I know that my work right now is to be okay with this uncertainty and this chaos. But as soon as I settle into a place, I notice that I develop those routines really quickly. My family develops these routines very quickly. And as soon as we have them down, I can tell you that life just feels way easier, way more manageable. So that's why I really feel inspired today to talk about this and to really think and to really have a chat with you guys about what kind of ceremonies or rituals do you do on a regular basis that they repeat. And I'm happy to share some of mine, but I'm just curious to know if you guys recognize right now something that you do maybe once a day, once a week, once a month, once a season, once a year, that you know that by doing that, your life is going to be better, you are going to feel better, you are going to be able to take care of things better, you are going to be able to take care of relationships better. So there are so many layers that we can apply this concept to. But I'm just curious to know in the chat if you guys want to share, does anything come to mind about this idea? Is there anything that you find yourself doing? And I just want to hear from you first. So Peta says, meditate, journal, and walk before breakfast. Amazing. So that sounds like a nice morning routine, right? That is a morning routine that allows you to start your day centered, grounded. That's amazing. Yoga and meditation before 10 a.m. if possible. Amazing, Diane. So that's another example of kind of like a morning meditation, a morning kind of ritual or routine that helps you start your day with energy and with presence. Amazing. And it's funny that the two examples that I just read, they relate to self-care and to physical health. Mornings are good. After that, I can get sidetracked. That's good, Peter. At least you know that chunk of time in the morning is yours and you can do what you need there. So many times, and there is even a book about this that is called The One Thing. And in that book, the author talks about how he blocks a few hours in the morning, and whatever that one thing is that he's finding really important, he will focus on that thing first thing in the morning. And after that, the day can start and he can get sidetracked and whatever, but at least that intention of blocking and creating boundaries around what he wants to be doing, that one thing, is so important. So yeah, I relate to that a lot. Teresa says, between tasks, I take breaks and lay down on floor on mat. It helps from getting overwhelmed and deciding what to do next with more flow. Yeah, Teresa, amazing. So you are talking here about some executive functioning skills that are in action. And I don't know if you are aware of them, but by you doing that, you are actually transitioning from one thing to another, and you are allowing yourself a transition that feels good to you. That transition allows you to check in, to get grounded. I love laying on the ground. Sometimes I do that for 20 minutes and it really helps my back. I just relax. I just do the position from yoga that is called Savasana. I just do it like that. And I just stay there for like sometimes 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And it really helps me calm my mind, relax my back. And as you say, Teresa, transition into what's next. What do I want to do next? How can I start that task with more intention? So amazing. Yeah, so some examples in my life of rituals that I found myself that they were really helpful. One of the one that really strikes me the most, honestly, is like closing the month. And this started to happen when we started our business. I remember the first months back in 2012 that my partner Samantha and I, we were closing the month. We were trying to understand, what does that mean? How do we do the bookkeeping thing? How do we track the expenses? How do we have an image of what happened last month or this month, right? So I remember spending hours doing that every month. And then we both said, this cannot be like this. This is just so excruciating, so painful, so disorganized, right? So after doing that for a couple of months, it was so painful that we wanted to create some sort of like ceremony ritual, something that we could design in a way that serves us. So the first thing that we did was we started to track the steps that we were doing. So we are logging into this bank account. We are logging into this credit card account. We are going to the business software to see what happened there. And then after that, we had a business journal. So basically we had a journal where we would write down wins and challenges. So we needed to transfer that into a Word document. So that was another step. So by us doing all the steps, we were able to see the steps. We were able to reorganize those steps so to make the process as efficient as possible. And that process is called sequencing. It's another executive functioning skill, that sequencing. So you grab a big task, you chunk that task in smaller steps, and then you reorganize them in a way that the sequence makes the most sense to you. So I remember when we did that 1 month, and then the following month we tweaked those steps, and then the third month we had a very good system. And then we printed that system with the steps, and after repeating that for a couple of months, it became kind of automatic. So now when we close the month, I don't have to double think because it's pretty much ingrained what I have to do. But if anything changes, I can go back to that list, I can tweak it, I can print it, and I can have it in front of me. So that is a beautiful ceremony. Also, by us going through the journal, by us reading the wins of the month, the things that we are proud of, and also the challenges that we were facing, it added that layer of intentionality, spirituality, and then you just set an intention for the following month. So what do I want to do this month differently? How can I take these wins and use them for motivation? And how can I take these challenges and work through them so that I don't repeat them? So that was one example of a ceremony that happens every month and transformed the way we felt, emotionally speaking too, at the end of the month regarding that. So so that's one example about something more data driven, right? That is kind of the finances. We also close the month personally so that we kind of get a sense of how are we doing, make sure that we pay all the bills, make sure that we pay all the credit cards, and make sure that everything gets done so that we start the month fresh. So that is one example. So Peter Brooks says that has happened with our weekly menu planning and weekly agenda. Now both my partner and I do it together. Yeah, Peter, that's amazing. The meal planning was another thing that for us, it was a struggle. Because I remember that we tried so many approaches, right? We try 1 week, you take care of it. The following week, I take care of it. And that was too overwhelming. And then we try 3 days one, 3 days the other one. That was still not working really well. And then we tried 1 day each. And that kind of worked for a while. But again, we were tweaking, and then that dictated the grocery shopping, that dictated how much time we spent cooking and who is responsible for that. There was a lot of resentment and a lot of kind of like, I wouldn't say anger, but yeah, resentment, I think is the word, and lack of clarity. And then now we decided to become a needy in the sense that, Emilio, you take care of yourself, and Samantha, you take care of yourself. And when we feel inspired, we make dinner for everybody, but it is not an expectation. And we have been doing that for the last few months because that's helping us to remove that expectation, remove that need, and us both be more proactive and us both take care of ourselves. So it's helping to kind of break a little bit of codependence and dynamics that we were feeling were happening, and it was not serving us. But again, there is not a one-way fit all. This is something that you have to design yourself, something that makes the most sense for you and your family, if you are involved in your family or your partner, and try and test and tweak things until something clicks and something really works for you. But yeah, meal planning was another one for us. That was a big one, that once we have a grocery shopping list going, we have a meal planning going, we understand what's happening, it's way easier to manage our life. It's way easier to know what's happening and who is responsible for what. Peter says it has come to a place where it works for us. Communication on appointments and shopping lists are served here. Yeah, that's another thing that we also created in my example, in my life, because my partner and I work together and we have Eva, our daughter. Sometimes it's important for us to know what the other person is doing so that we can say yes or no to commitments, to work, etc. So we share our calendar. And that was a really big help, because before, I remember every time I wanted to plan something, she wanted to plan something, we had to call each other or text each other or ask each other. And it felt like, I don't want to make another decision. But when we started sharing the calendar, it became so clear, because now if someone wants to do something, I look at the calendar, and if I don't see anything, I will put it there and I will invite her. So that really, really helped make that flow very nicely. Another layer of a weekly ritual that you can think about that is coming for me is about your home. I hear so many people that they say that at least once a week, they get their home under control. So what does that mean? That means that maybe they get the laundry done and they fold everything and they put it back on the closets. Maybe they have a clean, they maybe sweep, they mop, and they do all the dishes and they wipe the counters. So whatever it takes to reset the space. Sometimes it's just the kitchen, sometimes it is the bathroom, sometimes it is the entire home. So thinking about how does that look like for your physical space? What are the ceremonies, the rituals that you follow, and how do they serve you? And I'm curious to know, regarding your physical space, regarding your home, what are rituals that you find yourself repeating every week or every day? I'm just curious to know if anything comes to mind for you guys. Keeping surfaces free of any items on top. Yeah, amazing. Sometimes it's putting all Eva's toys away. The week goes by, we don't have time, things get messy, and then at least once a week we say, okay, Eva, today we are putting everything where it belongs, and we are resetting the space. And then that really helps her to play way better. She feels more. It's funny how she works, because when there is a lot of things laying around, I notice that she doesn't spend a lot of time with each thing, and she's kind of very scattered. But when there is nothing around and we intentionally bring something out and there is just one thing out, she will spend way more time. Sometimes I just bring a puzzle and she spends 20, 30 minutes just with that puzzle. Maybe that puzzle was in the middle of a pile before and she didn't use it at all. So it's very interesting to notice how differently she interacts with her toys depending on how it looks like. So that's another ritual that we have. Like, we try to set the space at least once a week, twice a week. We try to do a very nice, reset so that everything looks, everything is where it belongs. Like right now, that is very difficult to do because we are living out of suitcases in a basement, in a shared space. So we are doing the best that we can. But anytime we have a space and when the motorhome is finished, we will create that in there. So that's another example. Anything else comes to mind, guys, for you about your home? Angel says, I try to do a planner, check weekly, and get set up for the next week. Yeah, that's another thing that many people do, right? Maybe on Sunday evening, they have a pick up their week. They kind of look what's happening, what's going on, and it helps them kind of transition and anticipate what's happening so that they can then put things on place. If you look at your week and you know what's happening, you can tackle your meal planning differently. You can tackle your cleaning, your laundry differently. You can become aware of what you may need, how much time you may have, etc. And that is going to help you mentally get ready for that week. That is very, very empowering. So that covers the house, meals, and schedules. Yeah, amazing, Angel. I'm trying to think what are other ceremonies that we try to do. Like relationship-wise, I will say that what has been happening at least 2 to 3 times a week with my partner, we will do an imago dialogue. I will say at least 3 times a week we do an imago dialogue. Sometimes it's because we have a charge with each other or a charge with something that's happening. But some other times we just want to connect. We just want to create safety and kind of like intentional space together to be able to share what's happening, how we feel. And we find that doing the dialogue really helps us because we set the environment. Sometimes we put candles on. Sometimes we do it on a comfortable place with blankets and maybe we play some music. Sometimes we smash each other. So there is a transitioning, there is a ceremony, there is kind of like a ritual. And then we see it, we eye gaze, and then we kind of spend quality time together. No distractions, no phones. Majority of the times Eva is not around, or if she's around, we will tell her we are doing a dialogue and you are not to interrupt in the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. And she understands what we are doing. So yeah, that's a really beautiful relationship kind of ceremony and ritual that we do every week. And when we don't do it, we notice that there is connection missing and we actually crave that from each other. So that is another ceremony that I find us repeating week after week. Yeah, so Petra says, I put away the dishes my partner washed up the night before. as I make a cup of first up. Yeah, so amazing. So you guys are a team and you have found the flow that works for you. That is great. My partner had made our dining table recently. I emptied the surface. He likes it that way. I joked. That's the purpose of tables, to have nothing at all on top. I am like you, Becca. I like tables being ready to be used. I do like to have some flowers or maybe a candle, but I like tables to be ready for the next use. I don't like a lot of stuff being on the table. So, but that's not everybody's like that, right? And tables, the bigger the table, the more inviting it is to set things on top because it's so convenient. But yeah, maybe a ritual of maybe once or twice a week, making sure that tables are clear and everything on the table goes where it belongs. That can be a nice ritual that can help you reduce the visual stimulation of things that you may have around you. That, believe it or not, having visual stimulation around you, you can be very sensitive to that. I work with a lot of clients and people that they have ADD, ADHD tendencies, and they notice the impact that having a lot of visual things around them is causing them to feel more anxious, more overwhelmed. And when things are clear and everything is where it belongs and there is not a lot of visual stimulation, they find themselves feeling more calm. So just notice what happens in your nervous system when things are out of sight or when you have a lot of piles around you. Just notice how you feel. It's going to look different for each of you. Yeah, so Angel says, I am not as consistent as I would like. That's my challenge. When something throws me off my plan or routine, I have a hard time not going off the rails for a few weeks. Yeah, Angel, it's really nice that you are noticing that, right? You notice that you have a really good plan or ceremony or ritual, but when something happens that makes you derail from that plan, you notice that you have a tendency to stay off track for weeks before you come back. This is why sometimes having a ritual of a habit tracker, a ritual of creating your ideal week, a ritual of journaling, basically making sure that you are checking in with yourself somehow and that you are reminding yourself of what's truly important for you right now. Where do you want your energy to go to? And as soon as you take care of whatever has happened, you can come back to that and you can have a clear understanding of what that means. Sometimes I have talked about doing brain dumps, doing mind maps, doing exercises that are visual, that allows you to visually see what you want to do. Sometimes it's having lists that are colorful. You can have a self-care list with the activities that you want to be doing. So there is no right or wrong approach here. It's just important that you notice, what do I need to stay on track? How can I remind myself? Another exercise that I do is a creation. And basically a creation is an exercise that I have different areas of my life on a piece of paper. I have body, mind, family, work, social, stuff, give back. You can put the categories that make sense to you. And then I write down a few things that are important to me and I want to do. And by me being able to see that page, by me creating that ceremony of I'm going to look at my creation and see how I am doing, that helps me stay on track and avoid going weeks or months unconscious, just reacting to life rather than creating my own life. So yeah, it's really good that you are aware of that. Perfectionism is a liar. Keeps us from just getting back to it without judgment of ourselves. Yeah, Angel, absolutely. Perfectionism is, it's such a liar. I am a perfectionist. I have tendencies to be perfectionist, and so many times I notice myself self-sabotaging or stopping because it won't be as perfect as I would like it to be, but that sometimes prevents me from keep making progress. And there is so much that you can do, small progress day after day. It's amazing how much progress you can make and not try to make a leap jump, a perfect jump that it never happens, right? So yeah. Yeah, Ella says, I resonate with that nervous system activation when too many things around. Though at the same time, like decorating and not a sterile environment. Very conflicting. Yeah, Ella, it's a really good point, right? You are talking about the visual overstimulation, and you are talking about the beautifying of the space and the things that you want to display that makes you feel well. And because every person is different and unique, when you have different people living in the same environment, it can be very challenging to find that balance of what does it mean to make the space look beautiful? What does it mean to display the things that I love and make me feel well? And when is it too much that I start feeling overwhelmed? And clear communication with other people that are living with you is important. Because I agree with you, I don't like living in a space where there is nothing. But I also don't like living in a space where it's so saturated with things that it makes me feel like, oh, there is so much stuff everywhere. So that's going to look different for each of you. Yeah, lists work well for me too. Being able to tick chores off my list makes me smile. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Becca says, true about activation of the nervous system. Also, every Wednesday evening is couple time here for catching up with each other's current status and or study of a course on relationships. Becca, that's amazing. And it's so nice to create that ceremony, that protected window of time, that container. I will call it a sacred container for relationship, right? And it's so beautiful to make that a priority. It's so beautiful to have that clarity that every Wednesday at this time, we are gathering together. And the intention of this ritual, of this time together, is for us to connect, is for us to do a course together, is for us to do an imago dialogue, is for us to do something. And then you can think about what that is, right? So it's very beautiful. And that is such a nice ceremony, such a nice ritual. So thank you for sharing that. JV says, it's a delicate balance. My ADHD requires reminder, small piles of to-do items to be out, but my CPTSD needs less clutter for increased calm. Yeah, JB. I remember I did a live session just on visual reminders, how to use them, how to avoid overusing them, because sometimes when I'm working with clients in their physical spaces, many times I relate to having the visual reminder of something that needs to get done. And you thinking that if I put that away, I will forget. This has to go to my sister's home, so I better leave it by the entry so that I can see it, so that I can take action on that. If I put it away in the closet, I will forget. So there are a few layers here that are happening, right? One of the layers is it's not bad to use visual reminders as long as you don't have too many. And when you have too many to the point that it's not serving you anymore, that is when I will start to question your need to use visual reminders only. There are other ideas. Maybe put calendar reminders. Maybe create a to-do list. Maybe have a place where all the to-dos stay, but they are not out on plain sight. Maybe you have a closet. Maybe it's a section of your garage if you have a garage. Maybe it's a section of your basement. Maybe whatever that is, but you have them all together there. So there are different ways of approaching this, but sometimes it is true. I love visual reminders sometimes, but when I have too many, they don't serve me anymore. So finding that balance sometimes can be tricky. Yeah, that's where habit stacking can help reduce the number of visual cues. Yeah. Whiteboard. Yeah. Kark. Now I don't have a kitchen anymore. But in the kitchen we had an old glass window, and we called it the magic board, because I can tell you that everything that we brought on that board, it just got done. It was amazing. Everything I brought there, it just got done. And the reason why that happened is because I could see it every single day. And because I didn't have 100 things, I had very specific things. So every time I was feeling overwhelmed, I didn't know what to do. I know I was having my coffee sitting on the table. I would look at the board and I will get satisfaction of getting something done from there. I will get the satisfaction of erasing something from there. And yeah, I told Samantha, she will come, hey, Emilio, can you do this? And I say, write it on the magic board, and most likely it will happen. So she will always write the things in there and they will get done. So yeah, that is a very nice, if you don't overdo it, okay? If you have a board and there is no space on the board and there is 100 things in there, that can become overwhelming for someone. So that's why you need to find the balance, and there has to be a balance between you creating these rituals, these ceremonies, these kind of habits, and taking action on them. That is another thing. If you start creating rituals and ceremonies that you would like to do, but you don't take action on them, or you create too many, then it defeats the purpose. And then they will not serve you. They will overwhelm you. And then that is what I want you to avoid. I want you to be intentional about what you create. I want you to be present with what you create. I want you to take action on what you create. And I want you to experience and to feel what that looks like, what that feels like. What can you tweak next time you do it? And if there are others involved, just try not to be a perfectionist. Try not to have high expectations. Just take it lightly. Be curious. Let's just try this today and see how it goes. And then you can always tweak things around for the next time. Okay? Yeah, Peter says, I have a whiteboard in my work office and the weekly planner on the fridge. Yeah. I remember on the board we used to have in the kitchen, we had a section for grocery shopping. We had a section for the meal planning on the top. And then I created a section to track my partner's moon cycle. So basically I was aware of when she had her period, and then all the seasons that she's in, because she told me she has a spring, she has a summer, she has a fall, and she has a winter, and that relates to her period, so that I could kind of anticipate, okay, she's going to be very moody the next week or week and a half. Okay, she's going to be very energized the next few days because she's on spring and summer. So I had a section about that. And then we had a to-do for Samantha, a to-do for Eva, and a to-do for Emilio. So that's what we had. But yeah, you can create whatever you want. You can test it. You can tweak it. And at the end of the day, what we are looking for here is for you to create something that helps you make your life more enjoyable, more efficient, more sacred, more ceremonious, however you want to call it. Yeah, I love that it relates to the seasons on a monthly cycle. Yeah, Peta, there is a lot of information about that lately, and she was reading about how much connection there is with her cycle, the moon cycle, her energy levels, her mood, and the different seasons that a woman has. and how they feel on each season. So it's very important, because sometimes she may be very moody, right? And then she will tell me, Emilio, I have my period. So don't freak out, okay? I'm just sensitive today. So that helps me, okay, I understand. I'm not to take things so personally. What you are saying maybe is not, doesn't have to do anything with me. And I have to try and be extra careful, extra patient, extra present, maybe leave extra space, just be a bit more aware. And that really helped me with that. So that is another kind of ritual or ceremony that I started to try and help myself to be aware of that. And having that visual cue on that board was really helpful. Right now, I don't have any visual cue anywhere, and I can tell you there is an impact, because I don't have a place to write things down right now, and it really makes my life more chaotic. So it's interesting to notice that. So guys, do you have any other example that you would like to share about other weekly or monthly like ceremonies or rituals that you do that help make your life better? Becca says, helpful to make that monthly event a sacred time versus a curse. Every respect to you, dear Emilio. Yeah, sometimes guys, the words that we use can completely change the way we show up for something. When you are creating these weekly, monthly, daily ceremonies, if you can come up with wording that uplifts you, you are going to notice that you are going to approach that very different. Because for me, like if, as you say, Becca, like sometimes you may use words and it may feel like a burden, like one more chore to do, versus something that excites you, something that, wow, I want to be in this sacred time with my wife, rather than I have to spend time with my wife. So it's very different, right? And the same applies to finances, the same applies to meal planning, the same applies to every other area of your life. If you can reframe and use words that energize you, that uplifts you, that makes you react to them positively, I really invite you to try and find what those words are for you, because it's going to change the way you show up and your energy levels about that specific task. Angel says, yes, when I call it a cleansing ritual and not chores, that energy is very different. Yeah, absolutely. Angel, thank you. And if you guys can come up with your own wording about how you have worded a chore differently that helps you do it better, I would love for you to share it in the chat. Twice a year, I love to clean the interior of the car to nearly new. Healing and uplift last for a long while. I look forward to it. Yeah, Becca, how nice is that, right? To really give love to that vehicle that takes you places. And not only that, but every time you enter and you see what you have done, how do you feel, right? That's what I noticed with the motorhome. Every time I give it love and attention, every time I fix something, it's just the energy is different. I am kind of putting my energy into that vehicle. And when we are going to live in there, it's going to feel like home way more, because I am putting so much love, intention, and time and passion. So it's going to be way different than just jumping into the motorhome and leaving. So yeah, I really relate to that. Yeah, it's great when I have the time. I also remember that I created a live session a while ago, and it was all about creating statements for the different areas of your life that when you read them, you want to show up that way. And I remember, I think I have it on my old journal. I don't have it on this journal, that exercise. But I remember that I created one for Eva, for being a playful dad. And I remember when I was reading that, it's like, I am an amazing and playful fun dad for Eva. And it was a specific sentence that I brought that when I read that, it's like, yes, I want to be that father. And same with a lover for my wife, an amazing marketer and content creator for my business. So I really went through the different areas of life. And I really went to create a definition that when I read it, I felt uplifted. I felt on fire. And that is something that you guys can do when you are trying to create these routines. How can you find the right words that when you read them, you just feel on fire? You just want to be that, become that. Love everything everyone is saying, Emilio, and the chat. Yeah, let me go back to the chat. Yeah, I am in the endless winter, Angel. Funny face. And to say I got to clean my homes differently than I have to clean my home. Like how grateful I am to have a home to clean. Yeah, Angel, amazing. Like how nice it is to have a home that you can clean and you can make it yours, right? I love to sweep super slowly and make it meditative. It's an active meditation, BD. I love it. You are making a chore an active meditation. I find that with anything that I do with my hands, anything, if I have to fix something, if I have to Mickey Mouse something, I find that I really enjoy, because to me that's a nice challenge. It helps me be present. I disconnect from everything else in life. And then there is such a tangible result. There is such a tangible after that I can look at it. And it makes me feel so accomplished, right? Sometimes I don't get that when I am on the computer because it's not as tangible. But when I do something with my hands and there is a before and after, I sometimes I just go down to the place and I admire my work and I just feel so, yeah, it's like, wow, I did that. Look how it looks like. And this applies to cleaning. This applies to organizing something. This applies to redecorating a space. This applies to fixing something. This applies to doing anything with your hands. I also made a game, carving wood. And I remember that was a ceremony for me. Every week, sometimes every other day, I will just go down the basement and it was a game that every player has 6 holes. It's called a Mancala game. And I remember that it took forever to carve every hole because I did it by hand, majority of it, but it was a meditation. So I will just go to the basement, grab my tools, and just say, today I am focusing on this one hole, and that's it. I will just carve that hole, and then I will just go upstairs, and then the next day I will go there. Okay, I'm gonna do the next hole, maybe half of the hole, and then something that seems very tedious, for me it was active meditation. I kept showing up for it. I kept seeing the progress. And after a couple of months, it was finished. And now I play that game with Eva. And every time I play that game, it just brings me so much joy. Because the piece of wood that I created, I grabbed it from a pack that I found. I cut it myself. I carved it myself. The stones that we use are coming from a local beach here. That Eva helped me collect. So everything about that game has a story, right? So when I look at it, I really feel a lot of joy. So that is something that you can get so much enjoyment from, something that you have created, and you can make it such a ceremony. So guys, this was today's topic. I'm sure there are way more ceremonies and rituals that we do that I didn't talk about. But I hope that this session inspires you to kind of look at this idea of what can I create in my life that repeats and it makes my life better, makes my life more sacred, it makes my life more organized, it makes my life more social, it makes my life more connected, more creative, more playful, more healthy. And depending what you look at, you're going to come up with different words. Because you can look at how can I create a ceremony, a ritual, so that I can sleep better at night. And that's going to look very different than how can I create a routine, a ritual, so that I can eat better, I can eat healthier, I can take better care of my body. How can I create a routine where I can drink enough water every day? How can I create a routine where I connect with my partner or with the people I love and create quality time? And that I make sure that happens at least once a week, at least twice a week, however often you feel it's realistic for your situation. And then you can keep looking at the different layers. Maybe you look at your finances. Maybe you look at your accounting if you have your own business. Maybe you look at your parenting style if you are a father or a mother. You can look at your role as a child if you have parents. So, yeah. I'm just curious to know if you have any last thoughts. Diane says, thank you for your time, Emilio. It was lovely engaging with everyone. Thank you, Diane, for being here. Marjorie says, how do you mark the tasks done and celebrate completion of projects? Yeah, Marjorie, that's why sometimes using a bullet journal, for example, or using a method that allows you to see what you have done can be very powerful. That's why we used to have a business journal, and it became a life journal because we will write down everything, business and non-business. Everything that happened, we had this big window on our bedroom and we had a green marker. And then with the green marker, we will write down all the celebrations. And then we had a red marker, and with the red marker, we will write down all the challenges, things that we did that we are not proud of, things that we did that didn't serve us well, challenges that we want to learn from. And then at the end of the month, we will sit in front of that board. We will go one by one, my partner and I, and we will celebrate the good stuff and just celebrate and really be grateful about it and feel the emotion of it. And then we will look at the red stuff, and then we will reflect about it. We will be grateful about what's in here for us to learn from. What can we learn from this challenge that we had, from this mistake that we did, from this experience that wasn't really good for us? What can we learn from this? What is the gold in this? And then I will write it down on a Word document that I still have. So sometimes we go back to that document and we will read the good and the bad, and it will be an amazing exercise. So yeah, I will say that having a way for you to go back to the things that you have done, having a way for you to be able to reflect is really important. How does that look like? It depends how you want to do it. Maybe you have a notebook, maybe you have a journal, maybe you have it digitally on your phone or your computer. You can decide how that works best for you. For us, it was a combination, right? Because we really love the idea of having that board, and every time that something happened, I will go to the board and I will write it down. And I will get a lot of satisfaction from being able to write it down and also being able to see it for the whole month. And then being able to sit there and transfer that into the Word document and revisit each step. I know it requires a little bit of extra time, but it was so worth it for me to do that. So, yeah. Love that, Emilio, your own useful creation, being present and with disconnection from our routine. Yeah. Very grateful for everyone's input on this topic. Thank you, Emilio. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Becca. Emilio, you're continuing to accept donations despite your current living circumstances. Yeah, donations are always welcome. Absolutely. I will not say no. So yeah, if you found this session helpful, I'm always open to receiving donations from you. And you can also support me by following me on Insight Timer, following me on other places, and by taking some of my courses. Just follow your intuition. This is a journey. We all need different things at different times. And that's why I create so much content on different areas of life, because sometimes we relate with one area more than the other. Sometimes we are focusing on one area more than others. And that's why it's important to really follow your intuition. Marjorie says, missed a few details of the game you made in Basement and with Eva. So Marjorie, the game, I'm sorry, I don't have it here with me. It's at the studio. It's packed in a box because my life is a mess right now. But basically, the game is, I took a branch of a tree that is maybe this big. It's probably 16 to 20 inches long. And then I cut that branch. Well, it was on the ground, so I grab it from the ground. I peel it and I sand all the outside. I cut it in half, and then it became the two sides. So each half, it's one side. And on each half, I carved 6 holes because each player has 6 holes. So I had to carve 12 holes in total. And on each hole, there are four seeds or 4 stones. And then you will use those stones to move them around the holes. And the game is called Mancala. That is the family of games that you can play on that board. It's called Mancala. And the specific game I play is called Awale, in case you are curious. I love that game. And you need to count a lot. And I can tell you that my daughter Eva, she's 5 years old. I taught her how to play, and she's able to play a full game. She's able to count all the seeds. She's able to start predicting movements. She starts understanding the strategy slowly, and it's amazing to be able to play with her. So that is another beautiful ceremony that we are creating with her. We are creating quality time where we play a game. And sometimes it's patchwork, sometimes it's Uno, sometimes it's Mancala, sometimes it's Go Fish, sometimes it's Parchisi, and I am seeking more games that we can play together. So there is another beautiful ceremony that we are going to keep doing no matter where we are. And it's amazing. So, yeah. Yeah, Angel says, the first computer program I brought was a Mancala simulation game. So there you have it. It's an African game, yeah. And people in Africa used to play on the ground. They used to make holes on the dirt, and they used to play with stones. That was the origin of that game. So there wasn't a board. But then from there, they translated that concept to a board, and then from there, it became all this family of games. But yeah, just a fun fact, like a fun game that I learned how to play back in Spain. I used to go to competitions on that game. It was fun. So I'm really happy that my daughter is willing and open to playing with me, and that she likes it. Amazing. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for your time. I had a lot of fun being with you here. I hope to see you again soon. I don't know when that's gonna be yet, but yeah, follow me. I have more episodes coming in the future, more lives, and I have a lot of content recorded that you can listen to, lots of courses that you can take, and you can connect with me if you have questions, okay? And for those of you who want to take this to the next level, so just for you to know that I am available to work one-on-one, and I do a combination of giving you access to my self-paced courses, and then you have access to me through WhatsApp for accountability, and then you have access to me to do video calls, maybe once a week, once every other week, and I normally create enough spots for 5 to 6 people at the time to be able to do that. So I have a few openings. So if you are interested, that option is there for you. Okay? Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next time.